Welcome to this week's edition of CEO Corner. I'm Otis Rawl, President and CEO of the South Carolina Chamber of Commerce, and we're in the office of Lieutenant Governor André Bauer. Governor, thanks for being with us today.
Good to see you, Odie.
Well, we are just glad to be in a little different location today. Normally we do these kind of things at the Chamber, so to be in the State House, in your office, is kind of a treat for us. So.
Well, we're glad you came over.
Well, a couple things. As we want to talk a little bit about today is opportunities for business with the aging community. I know that the Lieutenant Governor's office heads up and spears a lot of the activities around the aging community here. With the baby boomers getting out of the market, getting older, what type of business opportunities are there really out there for businesses and how they connect with the aging population?
Odie, the opportunities are limitless. We have about 775,000 seniors currently. People like my dad who are baby boomers who just became a senior. We've got about 1.3 million baby boomers, soon to be seniors. So you're talking about an extremely large population who have money. They're people that are going to spend money on goods and services. Things like transportation, where seniors have got to give up their keys but are going to need ways to get around. People running in errands for them like grocery shopping, pharmacy, people cleaning their homes, adult daycare centers where you may have a parent that lives with you, but during the day you need somebody to keep an eye on them because they maybe can't totally care for themselves. Adult daycare centers are going to be a wave of the future. You already see some popping up in South Carolina. Restoration in homes, widening halls, changing bathrooms to get in and out of the bathroom easier for people that are having a little bit more difficult time. You can't step over the bathtub. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for people to reach out to these baby boomers that are becoming seniors. We're the fifth biggest state now in the country for in-migration of seniors, and the average senior that moves here comes with over $1 million in assets, over $100,000 in annual income.
Well, I didn't think about some of those different kinds of things like daycare for the elderly, where you may stay with you, your children, and then have a place to take them. That's pretty interesting. Talk a little bit about a new program that you've established here called Senior Shield. And I know there's a lot of fraud out there where people try to take advantage of the elderly. Tell me what you're trying to do with Senior Shield as far as protecting the elderly.
Well, what happened, Odie, is the federal government passed us a mandate down, and then the state legislature said, go do something about senior fraud. Well, that sounded great, except they didn't give us any money to do anything with. So we teamed up with people like the Attorney General's office, teamed up with y'all, as a matter of fact, and we teamed up with the Department of Consumer Affairs. We've teamed up with over 70 agencies to go after these folks that are taking advantage of our most vulnerable citizens. But that wasn't enough. Government doesn't have the resources to stay on top of all these people that are frauding our senior citizens. So we came up with a public-private partnership where companies are vetted. If they want to be a member of Senior Shield, we check to see, are they licensed to do business in South Carolina? Do they have insurance? Are they bonded? Do they have any type of criminal background? We want to know these things. If you're going to have someone in your home fixing that shower or expanding that hallway or shopping for your elderly parent, don't you want to make sure it's not somebody that's been convicted of fraud or theft? Or God knows what. We had a senior last year die. She let someone in their home who presented themselves as a laborer, and he killed her. And so this gives one more way to do a little due diligence, a little homework to make sure the person going in your loved one's home or your own home is legitimate. And so we think it's a great idea, and it's going to be a wave of the future.
Well, I think so too. A lot of our small business folks that are engaged in that are participating, looking to participate, because it does give them a kind of a check off and gives them that assurance that they can walk in and would be a preferred vendor for that aging couple.
It is, and if you're a senior getting ready to make a purchase, or if you're like you or I and have an aging parent, you click on there and it immediately will show you people that have been senior checked. And so you'll know the type of person you're doing business with. It just gives you a little more peace of mind and a little bit more reassurance that you're doing business with somebody that's legitimate. I've hired an electrician one time. Unbeknownst to me, he didn't have a license, and when I went to get the property inspected, he couldn't get an inspection because he didn't have a license. I had to pay a second licensed electrician to come back in and get me passed. It ended up costing me more money than if I'd hired the licensed electrician the first time.
Well, we're 2 months into the session. What do you see the Senate working on? And of course, we know we got budget problems. Besides the budget, tell me what else is important, at least on what are the hot buttons in the Senate right now?
Well, again, we know the Senate actually already passed the port bill. And so we're waiting to see what happens with the port in the House, but it's an issue that's got to be addressed. That port has got to be a viable tool for businesses in South Carolina. Again, we're looking at, in the Lieutenant Governor's office, we looked in several other agencies, Department of Social Services, the Governor's office, DHHS, all provide different things for seniors. We actually, different agencies now are providing goods and services for seniors at different prices, and they're providing the same thing.
Right.
And so we think everything ought to be housed in one area. I've only got 2 years left as Lieutenant Governor, but I think we've got to get more creative in how we stretch that dollar just as far as we can. And so merging everything to do with aging in the Lieutenant Governor's office makes sense. The vast majority of things are here now, but whether it's Veterans Affairs, whether it's transportation, ought to be all housed in one location where people know exactly where to go. So we hope the legislature will look at that in grouping.
And a little bit of restructuring then.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of left the door open for me just right then to ask you. You said you're not going to be in the Lieutenant Governor's office but for 2 more years. Aspirations?
Sure, I'm leaning towards running for governor. I haven't made a 100% commitment yet. Number one, we're still in the legislature, and I think it sends a bad message. I think all the people that ran for president sent a bad message that we're currently being paid. We're supposed to be in Washington. They were missing votes, and they were traveling all over the country
Right.
running for another job. And so when we get out of session this year, I'll make a definitive decision. But until then, I got a job to do. Even though I'm furloughing and I'm taking 10 days without pay, and it's a part-time job, I still want to send a message that I'm working for the people. So leaning towards it, praying about it, talking to a lot of business folks, because that's going to be really the people that support me. So we'll make a decision sometime in the near future. But I know I need a life change. I've been here 13 years. It's time to move and do something different.
Well, we wish you good luck, and we thank you for being with us today and having us in your office. And hopefully next week you'll join us again as we talk about another issue facing business in South Carolina.